Hey everybody, Eric here for the weekly news recap for the 18th to the 24th of April 2022. Bit late, still pretty sleepy, especially since Elden Ring stream. She had a headache for pretty much the whole day yesterday. I can't tell if that was because I was so pissed off at Elden Ring or I might actually be sick. Maybe the case. Anyway, we're gonna move on. We're gonna have a look at the news for the 18th to 24th of April 2022. So, first up, Oculus, I refuse to use the other word, had a showcase for new VR games coming out soon. So, a couple of them showing off. So, we'll go through a few here. So, we have, first up, we have Ghostbusters VR, and this is a completely CG trailer, so there's no actual gameplay showing off. But I think the idea is that we're going to get a kind of 4-player Phasmophobia / 4v1. Maybe not 4v1 because I think the one will be a computer controlled thing. But anyway, I think the idea is you'll use like the PK meter and other Ghostbuster accoutrement to locate ghosts and such, and then obviously you need to use the gun, whatever it's called. I'm trying to say plasma caster, but I know that's Predator. The big fucking nuclear gun they use, don't cross the streams and all that. I can't think of the name of it now, it's gonna piss me off. Anyway, and you use that to capture the ghost, right? That's kind of the deal they're going for here. Again, it's a completely CG trailer, so we don't know what the gameplay will be like. But hey, Ghostbusters, cool. That'll be interesting. I don't know, if they go with the Phasmophobia thing and wrap it around the Ghostbusters licensing, yeah, that'll work. Another completely CG trailer, unfortunately, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. Now, Saints and Sinners OG is a very good VR title. It's very immersive. It also has a really horrible thing where you can actually grab the zombies by the head and put a knife through it. And it's like, yeah, that's cool and all. That's incredible that we're able to do that, but also gross. But yeah, this is an entirely CG trailer, and you will miss the ominous monologue being given by the game's villain here, who appears to be a kind of, I don't know, apocalyptic knight thing, I think is what he's going for. NFL, who cares? Among Us VR, the trailer here is actually pretty funny. Despite it having no dialogue. There's music being played, but you know, it gives you the experience of playing Among Us without even having to use any dialogue, any forced, you know, the Ubisoft live presentations where they fake people playing games and the chat that goes on, and this is incredibly fake. You know, they don't do any of that here. This is what it's like playing Among Us. You know, you play it in VR and you run into people and you're like, you gonna kill me? No? Okay. You want to stick together? Also no? All right then. It's that kind of idea of, you know, who can you trust and so on. But it's in VR now, so you can see the maps and such in like full first-person 3D. Like, I'd be curious how they do the venting, if you can actually see people, you know, if they can clip their head through it, kind of thing. You know, I suppose there's all those kind of issues they'll need to fix. This is what happens when you're fucking tired as fuck. Anyway. But yeah, there's Among Us VR, which will be fun. And Inner Sloth have also mentioned that whenever PSVR 2 is out, Among Us VR will be out for it as well. Red Matter 2, another follow-on sequel thing. Red Matter 1 was you're stranded on Mars and you need to help the humans escape some shenanigans that are happening, and you're a robot, so it's okay if you end up in the vacuum of space or get blown up or encounter aliens or whatever like that. Seems like Red Matter 2 is much the same. I think I may be confusing these games around, but you do have your Oculus things and they're replaced with like grapples and guns and stuff like that. And again, Red Matter 1 was pretty well received. Red Matter 2 I don't imagine will be any different. Again, it's hard to tell in like VR trailers how interesting or how immersive it'll be, you know, the kind of presence you get from it, because it's a flat trailer, you know, you don't have the actual VR presence for it, so it's very hard to tell with flat trailers, I guess. Espire 2, following on from Espire VR Operative. In the original, you were like Robot Man, first-person shooter. It was okay. Decently received, I guess. There were some issues because that it's essentially just a shooter. But again, adjust to anything in VR is still very different. It's just the whole presence thing. You just don't get it. You don't get it on a flat screen. But the idea is there are now 2 rigs to choose from. You've got the Terminator rig, which is your standard commando kind of. I will run in and kill absolutely everything. And then you've got this tiny guy who is, I think, new, and they're more stealthy. They're like running around in crawl spaces and hacking stuff and whatever else. So interesting, different kind of gameplay to check out there. Moss Book 2 we've looked at before. It's a follow-on to Moss. Oh, nothing new there. Ruins Magus is... I'll show you a bit of it, but it looks rough. It's a like first-person JRPG, action RPG. Don't know how well this will work. Again, it's hard to tell. It's so hard to tell in a flat presentation how well it'll actually show up in the actual VR machine. Cities VR. If you played City Skylines, then you know what you're getting here. It's just a VR version of City Skylines. So you can actually get in and look around your little city and build it out, and you can have like natural motion controls so that you can draw easily, so you don't need to use a mouse or an analog stick. That can be a little bit weird to try and draw with. You can draw just with your hand. So drawing roads, managing your city, getting like right down into the city and like being able to move around in it. I don't particularly like the Oculus controller being there. It would have been nice if they had skinned something different for it, but whatever, it works. But yeah, like if you already likes the cities or the like city management kind of stuff, then you know, and you have an Oculus, I refuse to say the other word, then why not? Why not check that out? And then kind of the big one for me, at least, if I ever get around to getting an Oculus 2, is that Resident Evil 4 is getting its mercenary mercenary mode. The original Resident Evil 4 shipped with an arcade kind of shooter gauntlet thing. And the VR version did not come with it. It also doesn't come with a bunch of other stuff. It doesn't come with any of the Ada side missions or anything like that. But this was kind of a big one for like, yeah, you should really put this in. It's like a very easy win for you. So yeah, they did. And it's out right now. So if you already own it, check it out. There's also a Bandersnatch for some reason. No, that's not a Bandersnatch. That's one of the... When I was looking at this trailer last night, I thought it was a Bandersnatch, which is from Code Veronica. I was like, what is that doing here? But no, it's not. It's one of the late Iron Maiden enemies. I just haven't seen them in that area before. Anyway, Mercenaries, it's out now. Free update. So if you already have it, cool. If you don't, it's another reason to get it. I've seen a couple of people playing through it, and yeah, it's a very easy win for them. It's just absolutely give us the Resident Evil 4 shooty scenario and put it in VR, and yep, done. Good job. Beat Saber is constantly releasing new stuff, so this, you know, this is almost like, oh, it's another pack for Beat Saber. Excellent. It's still impossible, but thanks. God, I'm getting winded just looking at this. Arms falling off trying to do all this shit. Fucking hell. Obviously you were missing the music here because I don't play the desktop audio because I don't want to get, you know, DMCA'd, but yeah, pretty cool music to go with that. And then follow up to Boneworks is Bone Lab, which is a kind of, it's kind of like a sandbox thing for VR stuff, but you can like try out a lot of different types of gameplay, and they do a bunch of like fun physics, basically. That's a big grip. The game being called Stress Level Zero is a bit, not the developer. I need to get more sleep. The developer called Stress Level Zero is a bit of a misnomer, since you could see in some gameplay segments it's quite stressful, like this, trying to climb a sheer cliff, or in what are probably like horror levels and stuff. But it does change it up into shooty levels, an actual jump, which must be really, really weird in VR. Like, I know you can jump in other VR games, but it's always weird. It always feels wrong. I don't know what other way to put it, but it always feels wrong. Because you want to do it yourself, you know, you want to jump IRL. And obviously that's not going to do anything in VR. You need to press the jump button. Anyway, Bone Works was really fun. Physics is really well done as well. Like, there were a lot of things you could interact with. I don't imagine Bone Lab will be any different. It just has a couple of new areas to try out. But yeah, lots of interaction. And that's kind of what you're going for in VR games, is to be able to interact with lots of things, lots of tactile things, having to like press buttons or pull levers or pick things up, like physically pick them up and move them around. Go, put it over there. You know, trivial in an actual in a flat video game, but in VR it just takes on a much. It just becomes more interesting. Another way to express that. And that was it for the Oculus presentation this week. So some interesting stuff. Some of them, like the bigger gets for them, like the Ghostbusters one and Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, were like pure CG trailers. So we don't know how the games will actually look. Saints Row also released like a 20-minute presentation thing, but this is like the gist of it, which is pretty much everything is customizable in the game. So customize your character, customize your vehicles, customize your weapons, customize your headquarters. I think they alluded to being able to customize your crew at some point. Possibly some of the enemies you'll encounter have a certain level of customization to them. So that's a lot. There's a ton of customization in the new Saints Row. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's a 5-minute video, but there's a lot. Like individual hair strands, asymmetrical customization, body types, changing up the cars and stuff, changing up your guns, changing up your crew at some point as well. You know, changing up the headquarters, you can change that out and so on. Like a lot of customization. And the small amount of gameplay that they showed in and around all the customization does make it seem like it's fun. It's fun Saints Row. It's not the way GTA has been going, where it's been going super serious. It's I know GTA is like parody as well and cynical, but it's lost a bit of the kind of playground feel I think GTA has, and Saints Row seems to be keeping it. So that's good. Some game announcements. So Tales from the Borderlands is getting a sequel, allegedly at some stage this year, 2022. So Tales from the Borderlands returning, will star new characters and will be out this year at some point, and is being created in-house by Gearbox. So new Telltale is not handling this. Gearbox are going to take it entirely upon themselves to develop the game. And that's it. That's all we know. We have this artwork. That's it. So you won't be seeing any of the new characters, or sorry, you won't be seeing any of the old characters from Tales from the Borderlands are dead. Is that? Tales from the Borderlands was a really good Telltale game. I really enjoyed it. It's very funny, unlike mainstream Borderlands, which is cringe. Tales from the Borderlands is actually funny. Check it out if you get a chance, and you will probably be interested in the sequel too. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has its release date pushed up, which is new. You know, normally you hear about these, oh, it's been delayed, has it? No, they're pushing it forward for some reason. It's coming sooner than expected. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be out on the 29th of July. Previously, it was going to be out in September at some point. And there's a new trailer that they can show off. It's showing off a bit of the combat, like the real-time combat system, swapping in and out your party members. If you've played Xenoblade before, this probably doesn't look too... It looks really nice, but it doesn't probably look any different to the actual combat bit. Yeah. So it'll look new-ish, like these kind of team-up attacks and stuff, but the actual combat itself probably won't look all that different because it's very similar. It being pushed up to July is obviously great because you get to play it earlier, but it's probably because they didn't want to release it at the same time as Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 has gotten its release date and it is some stage in September. So I imagine they weren't like, let's not put both of these out at the same time. Let's space them out. And I guess pushing this up means they have quite a bit of confidence in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that it will be fine, that they don't need the extra time to polish or whatever. So cool. Happy for that. I had been planning to do the Xenoblade Chronicles series on stream, but I probably still will. It's just the game's just so fucking big. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. Like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is already 100 hours easy. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is in and around double that. That's so long. So long. I don't know. I guess we'll see how that goes. It might be another one of I will do a bit of it on stream and do most of it off stream. Don't know how well people like that. Anyway, PlayStation Plus to debut in June for Americas and Europe and Japan. So this is news that the PlayStation Plus revamp thing with their tier structure where they're combining PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now has actual release dates now. So Asian markets not including Japan, May 23rd, then Japan, June 1st, North and South America, June 13th, and then Europe on June 22nd. Now, of course, Europe is always last these things, but I imagine the reason Europe is last this case is because they're adding a bunch of countries to the cloud streaming effort. So this way they don't have to put everybody on the deluxe package or the whatever the package was where you got everything except the streaming. They're going to add a bunch of countries to the streaming offer as well. So Bulgaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Greece, Hungary, Malta, Poland, Republic of Cyprus, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia are all being added to PS Now, and in general, they'll be able to avail of all the tiers of the new PlayStation Plus. So I imagine that's why Europe is last, because they have all of that shit to do. It's interesting that they're doing Asian markets and not Japan first. Maybe they're doing a kind of trial run to make sure everything is okay. They don't want to introduce it into the home market right away. Maybe it's not as popular. Maybe PlayStation Plus, PS Now aren't as popular in Japan. I don't know. Don't have the numbers to suggest that at all. But yeah, they're all in and around within 1 to 2 weeks of each other, so it's not super bad. And it's not like you're really missing anything either, because the products, PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now, aren't going away. Maybe they are. Maybe they do go away on the May 23rd, and you're like left with basically a month of not being able to do PS Now. Don't know. Can't read that name. Sorry. Oh, hey Garner, how's it going? Catching PlayStation Bobby News though live. Yeah, that's what it tends to be. I guess I don't talk too much about Xbox. Anyway, Amy Hennig gets redemption. So Amy Hennig is getting a second chance at a Star Wars game. Good for her. Amy Hennig will be getting a second chance, or getting a chance to finally release a Star Wars game. So previously, Amy Hennig would have worked on Uncharted 4 until rumor is she was forced out by the Druckmann lads. She was pushed out of that, and they scrapped most of her work on Uncharted 4 and ended up making their own thing. She went on to work with EA on Star Wars 1313, which was eventually revealed to be a Boba Fett game and was then subsequently cancelled. And then she moved on to work on something. I forget what. But now it seems that she'll be able to go back to Star Wars because her Skydance team, Skydance New Media, are partnering with Lucas Games, and they will be able to make a Star Wars game. And that's kind of all the news we have. Richly cinematic action adventure game. So that sounds like Uncharted, basically. So that makes sense. An entirely original story, so probably won't be the Star Wars 1313. I guess we're just gonna have to resign ourselves to that never happening. It's a shame. But yeah, entirely original means I guess they won't be piggybacking on any of the shows or any of the films or anything like that. So good. It's we could do with new stories in Star Wars. Okay, new releases this week. It's only one. It's late, or for me at least. As always, I only show off the games that I actually give a shit about. So, Lego Builder's Journey is a very chill Lego puzzle game. Basically, you have these small dioramas, little pieces to move around to get your guy from one area to the next. There's also a creators mode where they just dump a bunch of Lego pieces out, and you're like, cool, make something. I'm not sure if you actually have to make something in particular, or if they're just like, nah, make whatever you want. It's fine. here's the pieces and do it again. Oh, how would we want the same story retold again? Exactly. Why would anybody want that for Star Wars? I don't understand why people want to. How many times have we had the same story told now in Star Wars? Ridiculous. But yeah, that's it for new releases. Right. It is now time to talk about the worst part of video games, Bobby Code. And also the video game industry. Anyway, so first off, Microsoft has not discussed Bobby Kotick's post-acquisition employment status, it is claimed, even though we had previously heard that he was planning to step down. He'd hang on for like 6 months or something to make sure everything went okay. Can't imagine they wouldn't. And then he'd, take his golden handshake and fuck off. But turns out maybe they haven't had those talks yet. So we don't know whether he will remain at the company after the proposed acquisition deal. Microsoft and Bobby have not had that chat, and they still have not. Wall Street Journal, again, said that they expected the controversial, doing a lot of lifting, their CEO to leave. Turns out maybe that's not true. Proxy statement filed with the US Securities and Exchange Commission last year confirms that Kotick is the sole Activision Blizzard executive to hold change of control protection that would reward him financially in the event that he is replaced following a takeover. So basically, if Microsoft, the acquisition deal goes through and they go away, Bobby, he goes, I'll go away once you give me all the money, several hundred millions that I'm owed because you took over my company. Yeah, so I don't know. Don't know if they're going to want to do that, I guess. And the rest of this article is going on to highlight, reasons why Bobby should probably leave. And there's an interesting one that brought up at the time, and I kind of glossed over it, I guess. But he said he would step down after this petition. Like almost 2,000 of their employees were like, Bobby, go away. He's like, okay, I will if I can't quickly fix the cultural problems at the company. Has that happened? This was like last year? What? Quickly fix? Whose timeline are we moving on here? His own, probably, so he doesn't have to leave. Sticking with Bobby, though, because we had even more news. Meta executive meddled to block Daily Mail stories about Activision CEO Bobby. Cool. So Wall Street Journal reports that Facebook Meta's chief operating officer, so this is pretty high level, Sheryl Sandberg, formerly of the Clinton administration, took an active role in suppressing stories about Bobby, as the two had a romantic relationship at the time. So this is news that Bobby had a restraining order from a previous girlfriend from 2013, and the Daily Mail were going to release a story about that in 2016, and Sheryl Sandberg was like, no, don't do that, he's my boyfriend, leave him alone. And I guess her clout with Facebook, being a news aggregator and such, meant they went, okay. Then 2019, they tried it again. She's like, no, come on, guys. Come on. Don't do that. Me and Bobby are like, don't do that, guys. And we won't definitely, kick you off the platform or anything. Okay. Sandberg put pressure on British newspaper The Daily Mail to kill a story about Kotick's ex-girlfriend filing a restraining order against, alleging that he had stalked and harassed her after their separation. There's also deeper into that, in that he would show up and let himself into her house and so on. It's like, Kotick and Sandberg together, report says, developed a strategy to persuade the Daily Mail not to surface the restraining order in 2016 and once again in 2019, shortly before the pair ended their relationship. Can't imagine why that happened. The Wall Street Journal began reporting on these incidents late last year, which prompted an internal review from Facebook. So Facebook are like, hey, is Sheryl okay? Should we still be making her an advocate for women in the workplace, even though she's protecting a known harasser and facilitator of sexual harassment? Probably not. Kotick's accuser has largely recanted on the issue of the restraining order, though she never officially retracted it. The existence of the restraining order itself does not appear to be in contention, so they're not saying it doesn't exist. It exists. But the cover-up of trying to dissuade a news source from running the story constitutes a major ethical breach. Sure does. Kotick reportedly told People that Sandberg leveraged Facebook's role as a news aggregator with the outlet to influence editorial decisions, although both Bobby and Facebook deny that that is the case. So yeah, there's a lot of, he said, she said here, but considering everything else that's come up about Bobby on this bullshit show that I do, and just generally in the video game news, are you surprised? No. Anyway, moving on, because we're sticking with Activision. You thought we were done. No, all Activision all the time. This is now the Activision news recap. The NLRB says that Raven Software QA Group is eligible for union election. Well, get fucked, Activision, I guess. Today, the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, probably, of America, ruled that Raven Software QA employees are eligible to vote in a union election. Activision Blizzard missed a deadline to voluntarily recognize the union. Yeah, missed. Sure it did. Glad you admitted finally that this is very much the Activision recap show. Anyway, if they stopped being bullshit, then they wouldn't be in industry bullshit. What do you want me to say? Anyway, the gaming firm objected to the filing. Yeah, big shock. It said that any union at Raven Software would require all of the game studio staff and not just the QA team. The NLRB said no. The group of 21 QA testers was enough as a bargaining unit. So now they are free to go ahead and vote officially to have a union. They had a previous vote to recognize a union and so on, but they needed Activision to voluntarily recognize it, and they didn't because they missed the deadline to do it. And then have appealed constantly since then. Now that they have official ruling from official board, the NLRB, that they can go ahead and vote on it. So now there will probably be a considerable amount of union busting from Activision. And if this actually rolls over into Microsoft Activision, then by Microsoft. Because they're not great on unions either. Okay, so we're moving on. We're moving on from Activision. We're going to talk about another shitty company instead, Ubisoft. Private equity eyeing Ubisoft as the next big gaming acquisition. Again, they seem to always be subject to a hostile takeover. Private equity firms could be beginning to circle over Ubisoft. The company will eventually sell to someone amid a flagging stock price and ongoing production struggles. So, yeah, there's an idea. This is coming from current and former developers. Is that the company? Well, the stock price has been dropping steadily for quite a while since the news of all the sexual harassment shit that's been happening at Ubisoft, the nepotism, the poor management, and so on. Their next big games are miles away. The next Far Cry, the next Activision, the next whatever they do with Ghost Recon, miles away. Who knows when? I'm not even sure they're in development. they're in development hell. Their next big game, I think, was gonna be Skull and Bones, but that's been delayed so many times. Who knows when that's actually going to happen? So yeah, not surprising that their stock has dropped, obviously, because they're not putting out anything and they don't have any good PR. It's all bad PR so far. They have had hostile takeover attempts before. Vivendi, another French company, had tried to take them over before, and Yves Guillemot, CEO of Ubisoft, got a ton of funding from Tencent to basically make that not happen. But that's probably not going to happen again, because it seems that they have been doing a lot of cleaning up in the background, hiring consultancy firms that normally they audit a company to find places where they are losing money and that they can fire a bunch of people pretty much to cover those costs. But it seems in this case they're actually doing things to prepare and make the company look more profitable. Suggests it's a sign Ubisoft is trying to tidy up its books for a potential sale. So they might be trying to wrap Ubisoft in a bow, and maybe Yves is looking for a chance to get out. So in recent news from a bunch of acquisitions where Take-Two bought Zynga, Sony bought Bungie, Microsoft is absorbing Activision Blizzard, and so on. Why didn't anybody want to buy Ubisoft was a question on one of their earnings calls. CFO Frédéric Duguet, I don't know, said he wouldn't speculate on why no offer had been made before being corrected by CEO and co-founder Yves. The company was neither confirming nor denying if potential buyers had approached it. So yeah, I guess they didn't want to muddy the waters on their stock price even further with that one. If someone did want to buy Ubisoft, they would potentially be getting it at a huge discount because the stock has dropped from $110 a share to $41 a share. It's a huge drop. Huge drop. CEO Yves has pointed out in this Kotaku article that he has fended off things from Vivendi before. However, Ubisoft is a big nepotism market. It's being held together by the Guillemots, pretty much. And his son recently left the company because he was managing an extremely racist game although I imagine that was probably not the reason he left. But anyway, they point to the departure of his son, Charlie, who left last year, resulting in no relatives left to take over the family business. So Eve is probably like, yeah, okay, I'm done. I'll take my payout now. Ubisoft has also been hit by an ongoing wave of attrition among its senior talent. It continues to struggle with the aftermath of a workplace reckoning over sexual misconduct that began in summer 2020, and they still haven't rectified any of that. Nobody got fired. People just got moved around. And some of its biggest projects continue to face upheaval, delays, or be trapped in development hell. So yeah, who knows when their next big game is actually out. Their next Assassin's Creed is years away, and they've changed what was going to be DLC for Valhalla, and they've now made it a standalone game to try to fill the gap, basically. So yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Probably. Wouldn't surprise me if they do get bought. The issue with them being bought by a private equity firm instead of another publisher, like, I don't know, EA buying them or Sony buying them or whoever, is that private equity firms probably don't want to be in the video game business. So what will probably happen is they'll buy the company, carve it up, and sell it off. They'll sell off the IPs and so on. Hey, Sony, do you want Assassin's Creed? Or, Microsoft, do you want Far Cry? Or so on. I imagine that's the way it'll end up going. PlayStation gender discrimination lawsuit falters. So this is a gender discrimination suit that was brought end of last year? Middle of last year, maybe? And it was kind of flimsy, was the issue, because there wasn't much evidence, and it seems that the judge has agreed that there's just not enough here. A judge has dismissed the majority of a gender discrimination lawsuit lodged against PlayStation by a former employee. Emma Mayo claimed PlayStation paid women less than men in similar jobs and were held back from promotions. Mayo also claimed she has been wrongfully fired soon after reporting gender bias. The judge basically said case lacked any necessary evidence. PlayStation, from their part, said that things that they brought up were unactionable allegations of run-of-the-mill personnel activity. However, some elements of the case can still proceed. These relate to Mayo's dismissal from PlayStation and any violation of whistleblower protection which may have occurred. Okay, heading out to bike ride. Grant, no worries. Thanks for dropping by for the Bobby stories. So some elements can proceed, which is basically the you fired me because I reported or because I tried to whistleblow. So yeah, that can continue, but the stuff about pay discrimination or gender discrimination stuff isn't going forward. There also remains the issue of the subsequent claims by 8 more women. So there was an attempt to turn this into a class action suit. The claims are male employees would rank female colleagues on their appearance, they would share filthy jokes, and would attend strip clubs at lunch. Multiple women allege inappropriate behavior and sexual harassment, including being approached and groped. Gross. These claims are still to be added into legal proceedings as part of a class action lawsuit and may yield new allegations. So yeah, they're not out of the woods. So the idea for pay discrimination and gender discrimination for promotions has been tossed, but the idea that she was wrongfully fired will continue, and this potential class action lawsuit may also go ahead. So yeah, they're not done. Not done yet. They're not out of the woods yet. Okay, small palate cleanse. So some dumb stuff to go forward. Hikaru Utada performed some certified Kingdom Hearts bangers at Coachella. So yeah, there was some video game music at Coachella that I can't play because DMCA. But this is Kingdom Hearts singer, I guess. Why I was struggling to think of that word. But yeah, people going nuts at hearing Kingdom Hearts music at Coachella, and people who were hearing it vicariously through Twitter and YouTube or whatever were like, crowd too dead for my liking. I'm glad I'm not there because I'd have been wild, and I've fallen to my knees at a Target and I'm crying and so on. Yeah, I can imagine having Kingdom Hearts music just randomly pop up would be tough to take emotionally. The game is quite heavily embedded in my psyche, so having just randomly having Simple and Clean randomly come up in a live show would be like, what the fuck, what's going on, what's going on? Tears. Somebody has mashed up Mass Effect and Advance Wars to make a really fun looking mashup thing, but it's not a video game, unfortunately. It's just like a CG thing. But they have like the mission on Vermeer, which is very close to the end of the original Mass Effect, and like this is pretty cool. I'd play this. This is amazing. Spoilers. The spoilers here a little bit, but yeah, an actual strategy RPG Mass Effect would be amazing. I'd love to play that. But this is really cool. Extremely well done. This channel, 64 Bits, has done a bunch of these kind of mashups, but this one is particularly well done, and I would absolutely play this game. And then continuing with dumb stuff, Valve needs to make Portal 3 soon, writer says, because I might be dead. Portal co-writer Eric Wolpa, not sure, has called for Valve to put a third game in production soon before the original development team becomes too old to return. We are reaching the point where it's crazy to think the original development team is literally going to be too old to work on Portal 3, so we should just do it. As much as it seems like Valve often is just a bunch of people sitting around sipping gin and tonic, everyone's working. So this is a contention that, hey, why don't they just do it? And it's like, they're fucking busy. They're fucking busy with Steam, basically. Is Portal 3 going to make Counter-Strike Go money? Probably not. But maybe not every game needs to make Counter-Strike Go money. Gabe, if you're listening, can we make Portal 3? So I guess not so subtle, kind of. Let's do it. Let's make Portal 3. Let's have Valve make a game that ends in 3. They can finally break the curse. Anyway, let's loop. Yes. Anyway, that was the news for April 18th to April 24th, 2022. So lots of new VR stuff from the Oculus showcase. Saints Row showing off some of their customization stuff. Looks interesting. The gameplay that was surrounding it looked more interesting. It seems like it's going to be a mod. Seems like it's going to keep the fun, basically. Tales of Borderlands sequel, cool. We don't have a release date on it, but yeah. Looking forward to that. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 being pushed up. You rarely hear about games being put forward, so cool. Again, the reason is probably to avoid clashing with Splatoon 3. That's fine. You know, I don't mind getting a game earlier than it was supposed to be, as long as it still turns out good. PlayStation tier dates, I guess, is just we knew it was going to be June at some point. They did say it was going to be June. It's just having the concrete dates now, and Europe being last is again not a shock there, because it usually is. And Amy Hennig getting to finally actually maybe make Star Wars. I really like any game she's written for. I can't say any game she's written for, but the vast majority of the games she's written for. Legacy of Kain in particular. That series has been sitting in my brain rent-free for quite some time now. I'm wearing the shirt. I'm wearing a Soul Reaver shirt. I don't know if you can tell. I think the camera is too high. But yeah. So cool. I will absolutely follow her wherever she goes. New releases, Lego Builder's Journey. Looks cool. I haven't played it myself, but it looks pretty, chill, pretty zen. So I am looking forward to giving that a shot for a bit. It might be a nice cool down from Elden Ring. Bobby having people, interfere in legal proceedings. Where have you heard that before? Seems like Bobby doesn't know how to take no for an answer. Anyway, Ubisoft getting bought up. Yeah. I kind of feel like that was going to happen sooner or later, as they haven't been putting out anything new, really. I mean, Assassin's Creed has been, as much as they revamped the formula for Assassin's Creed Origins, they've then just decided to stick with that and not changed it. Far Cry, again, has been the same for the last, I don't know how many entries since Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 changed it a bit, and then once again, they didn't change anything after that. They just kept making the same game, pretty much. Their Ghost Recon, Wildlands, or whatever the one after that was. I don't know. Maybe it was Wildlands the second one? Breakpoint the second one? I don't know. They're the same fucking game, is the point. Like, I can't even tell the difference between them, and I don't think they were particularly well received. I think the only thing they've really got going for them is Siege. Like Rainbow Six Siege. I think that's it. And that's old. That's pretty old. So yeah, not surprising. I imagine all the pushback and the just attrition from losing so many senior developers and senior management, senior executives, and so on, that is, they're just hemorrhaging people. They can't keep up with it, and yeah, not surprised. Yeah, so that was that for this, for the weekly news. Coming up on the channel, though, so I'm going to swap over to main for this, so you can get a bigger shot of videos or something. I don't know. So Monday, sorry, not Monday, Tuesday, we finished Ghostwire Tokyo this week, so we have to swap in a new game. So for Tuesday, we are going to be playing Vampire from Focus Home Interactive, who were known as Focus Home Interactive at the time, and have subsequently become Focus Entertainment. But yeah, this is a pretty jank vampire game set in Victorian time London. You're playing a doctor who has suddenly become a vampire and now has to decide, does he want to be a good vampire or a bad vampire? And I will flip a coin on Tuesday to decide which one we're going to be. I have played it as a good vampire, or a pacifist if you prefer. Like, I don't drink blood and such. I have played that already. So I am thinking we'll go with bad guy. But yeah, I will just straight up flip a coin, because I have been thinking of coming back to this. They did a PS5 graphical upgrade thing a couple of months ago, so I've been thinking about coming back to it anyway, just to see what that was like. And I've also been thinking, I never did the other side of it. I never did the bad guy ending. So, you know, we'll have a look at that. Plus, I want to platinum it. So there's that. And then Wednesday, we started Soma. We started our Soma playthrough. So in Soma, you are stranded at the bottom of the ocean, and there has been some kind of apocalypse has happened on the surface, and you need to decide how you're going to survive. How are you going to get out of this situation? It is quite atmospheric. It has a lot of really interesting existential questions about, like, is my meat necessary for me to be human? You know, is that all that's required? Is it, can I extract those from each other? Is my humanity only because I'm an actual human being, or could I be a human still in a robot body, and that kind of stuff? So yeah, weird shit. We are playing it on safe mode, so we don't have to worry about the cat and mouse stealth stuff that Frictional are known for, like Amnesia and that kind of thing. So we don't have to worry about that. We're playing it in safe mode because it is a Foley Fables game, and Foley Fables games are safe. No real chance of dying. that is my is a very loose categorization for Foley Fables games, but that's one of them. Well, it's mostly that I don't need to actually put too much effort in. And then Saturday, we're continuing Elden Ring. Yesterday's stream, if you were there for it, you might have noticed, was extremely cursed because we got nowhere. We've hit 2 brick walls. We've hit Malenia, which is a fairly common brick wall for everybody. She's a very, very difficult boss. And we've also hit Malekith, the Black Blade, who seems to be uniquely difficult for me because I'm really struggling with him. I can get to his second form without much struggle, but once I hit it, I am almost dying immediately. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'm hoping to have beaten Malekith before Saturday so we can actually progress and do the final dungeon, the final couple of bosses, and then stop because I haven't beaten Malenia yet. And then I have to figure out how I'm going to do that, so that'll be great. That's the plan for Saturday. It may also be for the Friday stream, because it is the every other Friday rather. I am free to do another stream on Friday. It may be the case that we'll do Elden Ring again, because I really just want to be done with it, to be honest. At this point, it's a really fun game. I had a great time playing it, but I'm done. I just want it to be over. I need other games to play, or I want to play other games rather. Anyway, that's us for this week. So hopefully I'll see some of you for Vampire or Soma or Elden Ring, or maybe I do something else on the Friday. Probably won't, but we'll see. Hopefully I'll see you for some of those. If you want to check out any VODs on the channel, over on YouTube, or you might be watching this on YouTube, Doomtrain5 there, or if you want to chat with me on Twitter, I'm also Doomtrain5 there. I do channel updates and such there too, if you want to check those out. All under my face. Anyway, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys at some point. Maybe. Bye.
Mm.